What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to the channel. So we're jumping in today with some more Marvel Rivals content, specifically taking a look at the Drop Dead Banger Season 2 update that's basically coming on April 11th. So without further ado, let's jump in. I want to start off with the Marvel Rivals official announcement trailer for the Hellfire Gala, because I think it reveals the most in the roadmap of what's to come. So let's start there. So we start off with this dazzling image of our thick mommy Emma Frost joining the game, which is absolutely crazy because she is thick as hell. She is not that way in the Marvel comics. We get this visual of the island of Krakoa and then immediately introduced to 4 new outfits likely to come over the coming weeks. We get a Bruce Banner, Black Widow, Captain America, and a Black Panther. The really weird thing with this visual is just the sheer size difference in you know, Captain America and Black Panther, and it should give you an idea of why Emma is drawn as thick as she is, or animated as thick as she is, because realistically in the comics, Captain America is but 6'2", Black Panther is 6 feet tall, and there's probably about 20-30 pounds separating the two men. They have squared off a number of times as vanguards for their respective nations, and Black Panther has gotten the upper hand on more than those occasions. So it's really weird, but that gives you at least some insight to why Emma is so damn thick. We then get this visual of Luna Snow in a nice black and white uniform that's gonna come to the game. It looks really appealing, I think, in some regard. It's a little sad to see her blue hair gone, but we get the black and white anyways. Wolverine in a tuxedo, and then we get Scarlet Witch in this absolutely dazzling evening gown. Now, the really cool thing about this evening gown for Scarlet Witch is that this is coming as a free-to-play skin for all players. All you're gonna have to do is complete some matches, complete some missions, and you're basically going to gain that uniform, so automatically good. Next up, we get another dazzling uniform. I'm gonna have to go back for this one, Jesus Christ, because Cloak and Dagger are getting a uniform that looks absolutely stunning to me. We get a reversal of colors here, Cloak wearing the white and Dagger wearing the black. To me, it makes him look a lot more ethereal, and it gives her a little bit more body, so I really like this uniform. Then we are introduced again to Thick Mommy. Just ridiculous. And then we're introduced to Magic and Psylocke getting new uniforms yet again. Psylocke must gonna be in the well, because we haven't gone, but it's been 4 months since the game's release, 5 months including season 0 in December, and these characters, she has received a uniform just about every month. So I know I'm exaggerating, but it's ridiculous. I am a little disappointed that we're getting these old retro type yellow and blue X-Men uniforms, because both characters do have Hellfire Gala inspired uniforms. So we can look here and we can see the look of Magic and the Hellfire uniform. I'm surprised that they didn't introduce this. I thought it would have been really cool. And then we get this awesome uniform for Psylocke. Reverse what I said there. And then, you know, Psylocke gets this uniform that's not there. So I don't know if they're gonna ever release it or whatever, but these are actually really cool uniforms. I'm dying to see implemented into the game. But nevertheless, these are pretty cool looking uniforms. In the background here, you can see Dr. Doom and Loki talking. I'm surprised we didn't get Doom in his Hellfire Gala appearance, because he does have a Hellfire Gala uniform, and it actually looks really cool. It would have been nice to see him there, but maybe it's just in keeping with the story that they're telling overall. And then shortly after that, the interruption is had for the introduction of our second character, which is Ultron, who's likely to make a big appearance on the scene. So overall, I thought the trailer was really good at giving us a good roadmap of what, at the very least, what season 2.0 looks like, because we are going to get a season 2.5. One of the more interesting things to go with the introduction of these two characters and these uniforms in the roadmap is that in the dev note, Guang, I think that's how you say his name, announced that along with getting outfits on a weekly basis, they want to ensure that they're able to deliver fun content. And what they intend to do with that, laughing at the face of the media who said how bloated the roster could become, is that they're basically saying, we don't care. We're going to release a character every month starting from season 3 and on. I think that's absolutely fantastic, because there's a lot of characters in the Marvel universe which they can dig and they can go into a well of. How well they're able to make a differentiation of those characters is another thing. So along with this update, we also are knowing that we're going to get 2 other uniforms that are going to basically make their appearance, and that is going to be Emma Frost in her X Revolution uniform. I'm not exactly sure where that one's coming from. I think it's just an original design. And then we got a uniform for Star-Lord, King of Sparta. Now, this King of Sparta, there is a Hellfire Gala uniform for Star-Lord that looks very similar, and this one looks to be a little bit of a change, so we'll probably see that one in there. But this X Revolution skin is likely to shake up a whole lot of conversation, especially coming off of Sue Storm's Malice skin, because we've got the thick mommy and she's got a trailer already for this uniform, and it's likely to turn some heads. I've seen a lot of goons and a lot of babies loving this uniform overall for the character. It's accentuating just about everything that you could imagine it would accentuate it with this character. So it looks absolutely fantastic. It looks beautiful. We'll have to see when it comes exactly how it plays out, but just her character play alone, I think, is just, you know, gonna have a lot of people wanting to play this character overall. We get the mental, we get the DPS type projection, and we get the grab. The grab is just amazing. So look at that skin. You tell me if this is going to be a day one purchase for you or not. I think there's going to be a lot of people purchasing that uniform. Next up, I want to talk about the updates and adjustments that they're going to be making to characters overall in the game. So dig in, sit back on your heels, and let me talk to you. I'm going to try to be as general as I can, so that way this doesn't take but so long. So first up that I want to talk to you guys about, because it kind of sets the tone overall, is some of the adjustments that are going to be happening to the team ups inside the game. So Metallic Chaos is going away. It's no longer going to be there. Magneto is going to have a team up with Emma Frost now, and Psylocke is going to join. Jesus Christ, Scarlet Witch is going to be joining Doctor Strange in a new team up that they're going to have together to emphasize that whatever, it's a new one that's basically mental, it's Arcane Order is what it's going to be called. Voltaic Union is also scrapped. It's going away, so you're going to have that loss to those characters overall, so it's going to be kind of sucky. Dimensional Shortcut, another one of the abilities. Psylocke is being removed from Dimensional Shortcut. We've got Gamma Charge, which featured Hulk, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange, is going to be revised. Doctor Strange is removed from this one, and then you're going to have Namor, who's going to be removed from Chilling Charisma, joining the Gamma Charge over here. So that's one of those. And then, like I said, the biggest one I think is the one that's basically coming to Metallic Chaos. I think that's the biggest one. Now, outside of that one, the one that's going to probably have the more sweeping change as well in terms of gameplay is Ammo Overload. Bucky is going to be removed from Ammo Overload, so it's just going to leave Rocket and Punisher. And with some of the changes being made to Rocket in terms of nerfs, this is going to have a big impact on seeing those two characters. I don't think necessarily as nerfdom as what you would think, but they're basically going to have some big changes. So let's talk about some of the character adjustments that they're going to have, and some of the characters that are going to basically be receiving buffs and debuffs inside the game overall. So this should be really fun. So let's take a look at the Vanguard characters off to start, and I'll just give you a revised version of what characters are receiving what. Bruce Banner receiving a buff. Movement speed and his survivability is what they're focusing on inside of here, where they just basically going to increase that movement speed and increase his indestructible guard and his incredible leap. So he's receiving some boost to improve survivability. Captain America is going to be receiving some nerfs. His health pool is going down low, and the shield value of Living Legend are going down. Doctor Strange is also receiving some nerfs to his offensive capabilities. So Doctor Strange, basically the daggers of Dinak are basically receiving some adjustments, and his Maelstrom of Madness is going to be receiving slight adjustments as well. Magneto, like I said, because of the team up loss, he's definitely going to be receiving some serious nerfs to his offensive capability, while his ultimate ability is going to be decreased a little bit in terms of time for cooldown. Penny Parker, on the other hand, is going to be receiving some really good buffs in terms of her ability to crit with Cyber Web Cluster, and an increase in her base health from 650 to 750. That's a lot. The Thing, on the other hand, is going to be receiving some debuffs. Basically, the damage reduction effect is going to be seeing a 5% decrease. Our boy Thor Thor is receiving a nice healthy buff. I'm so happy to be mainlining this dude. Increase of his base health by about 75 from 525 to 600, and his base movement is going to increase from 6 to 650. The little weird parts inside here for me is the comparisons in terms of these buffs when you look at base health stats. Why is Thor's base health stats so much lower than Penny Parker's? I don't quite understand that, but nevertheless, they're doing a really good job, in my opinion, of balancing out characters overall. Let's take a look up next at the duelist, because there's going to be a lot of characters receiving some buffs. Unfortunately, my boy Black Panther is not receiving a buff. It still laughs in my face that we have characters like Iron Fist, that we have characters like, you know, Iron Man, who are receiving major improvements and buffs, but our boy Black Panther's still sitting over here just eking at the chance. I mean, even Mantis is receiving a health pool, has a health pool similar to Black Panther's, and just makes absolutely no sense to me. But let's talk about these. Black Widow with her amazing costume, and I think a lot of players really understanding how the gameplay of this character works. Instead of treating her more like a long range sniper, or treating her more like a medium range marksman, and finding a lot of success with her, she's going to get a buff in order, well, effect change is what she's going to get to how she's played. Meanwhile, Hawkeye, on the like end, most people are knowing this dude. He's able to take out most DPS and strategists in one headshot alone, and he's got, you know, I've seen him a lot more recently than not. They're going to be increasing his stuff overall to make him a lot more lethal, in my opinion. So the threat of his ultimate is going to be risen, and the reduction with his bow charges and stuff like that is going to make him a lot more formidable. Hela, in the instance, is going to be receiving a nerf, not necessarily a huge nerf in terms of like what you would think, but they are slightly nerfing her offensive power. She did need it, I think, because she was just two-shotting most things in the game, whether you were, you know, strategist, DPS, or even, you know, tank. Just her ability to just change the landscape of battlefield is absolutely ridiculous. Same thing like, you know, Squirrel Girl, who should receive some type of nerf, because I'm so tired of people being on the losing end and then just subbing in a Squirrel Girl to try to, like, you know, get some kills and stuff like that. But we'll talk about those in future videos. But she's getting her cooldown time for Astral Flock mainly increased from 12 to 15, and her spell field damage is increased from 30 to 35. Human Torch is receiving a buff, so they're going to increase the cooldown time for his Flaming Meteor, but they're adding an effect so that way he gains health, 75% health, and then that's going to start to fall off at a rate of 30 per second. So he's gonna get some buffs there over there. Iron Man, I don't think that this dude needs any more buffs, but they continue to give this dude buffs. Why are they reducing his hitbox? I have no clue. Why are they giving him an increased bonus max health on his Harmony, excuse me, not his Harmony Recovery, on his Armor Overdrive or his Gamma Overdrive? I don't understand. Why is he getting things like that, but we still aren't seeing these buffs likely for Black Panther as well? It just makes no sense. I like, we forgot that this dude is wearing a nanotechnology vibranium suit that literally is withstanding punches from the likes of Hulk in the comic books. I just don't understand, but it is what it is, I guess. Iron Fist is receiving somewhat of a nerf, I think, like, depending on how you look at it. So they're gonna make him a little bit more agile, give him some improvements to his mobility, as if though he needed that, and then make him a little bit better against vanguards. Why? I don't get it. Other than that, they probably have a shoe in for the character. I just don't get it, but it's there nonetheless. Mr. Fantastic is going to receive a buff as well. Like, his increased health, they're going to increase his base health from 350 to 375, which is like, why? He's a rubber dude. He's a dude, and he's just a rubber dude. Like, his base health, in my opinion, should not be at 375. It nearly puts him mid-range between the tank. And if that's what you're doing to say that there are certain characters who should be mid-range between, you know, that DPS and tank type character, because that's where you're trying to sit them in, I think there's a few characters that you should really be looking at in there. Iron Man, his health. Black Panther, his health. I would even say probably Namor and Spider-Man in terms of their health, just because of, you know, Wolverine as well, just because of where they would actually sit when you talk about those health pools in terms of where they would sit for, you know, likeness to their characters in a comic book. So why you can make Black Panther a DPS, he's really somewhat of a vanguard character as well. Like I said, the dude is taking punches from the Incredible Hulk. That should just give you enough alone to understand that. They're boosting his damage as well overall. It was a weird one for me to see that, because I really don't think that Mr. Fantastic in the right hands is a bad character. In beginning hands, yeah, I can see it. But so his ultimate ability to me is going to perhaps the most thing, because they're going to give him that bonus health equal to that gain when he's entering inflated states. So he's going to have those boosts overall. Moon Knight is also receiving a buff. Basically, the slowness of his crescent darts and his projectiles, that's what's getting the buff. And they're also changing his Hands of Khonshu, his ultimate ability as well. The duration specifically is going to go from 3.5 to 4.5 seconds, and so there's increased damage that's going to basically be coming from that as well. Scarlet Witch is receiving some buffs and some nerfs. I guess is a mixed bag. Most people probably look at it as a nerf. So specifically, one of the things that immediately jumped out to me was her ability to go into, you know, her phased state is going to be reduced by about 0.5 seconds inside there. Now, they said that they wanted to improve her ultimate ability experience, but I just think that it's the main problem in her kit is that ability to cast that off and the amount of skill and coordination that it needs to get that. But it's a high reward when you get it. Star-Lord is also receiving a bit of a nerf. So specifically to his blaster barrage is what's getting nerfed. So they're reducing the damage from 80 to 75, and they're going to have a fall off mechanic, so that way starting at 4 meters and maxing out 80% reduction at 8 meters, which is kind of good, because I always hated like that Star-Lord had that blaster barrage where he's just like spinning around and he's doing damage shots and everywhere, because it really reminded me of Spider-Man's ult ability, and in that regard it made me feel like almost like he had a second ult in there. Now, Winter Soldier, as much as we probably would love to see it, he's not necessarily receiving any big impacts, I think, major impacts to his ultimate ability, but somewhat there. They're reducing the base damage of it from 100 to 80, and they're lowering the culling threat from 20% to a max of 15% health. The Wolverine, he's receiving somewhat of a nerf in my opinion. So for instance, they're reducing the time an enemy is knocked down after the impact of his ultimate ability to 0.75 from 1 second overall, and then they're going to increase the rage gain from some of his Savage Claw effect and what he gets when he's in his Berserk state as well. So somewhat of a nerf, somewhat of a buff overall. Strategists are going to see some serious impacts in terms of what they're getting. The biggest one of the strategists to me was Adam Warlock, specifically taking a look at his Soul Bond, which is going to be increased from a cooldown of 30 to 40 seconds. Guys, gonna have to play very strategic with your strategist. Karmic Revival, however, is getting a nice buff, so he's gonna bring allies back at 30% of their max health instead of 100% health. I do like this change. Cloak and Dagger is receiving more of an optimization than they are receiving a buff. So essentially, their ultimate ability, the way it's gonna work out is, you know, when you move through the lanes, those things they're gonna remain active during the entire healing zone, and then they'll phase out when the final zone lands. So a little bit of good there. Sue Storm is getting a little bit of tuning, because her shield value for Guardian Shield is going to be reduced from 300 to 250. Loki is getting a really good balance adjustment in my opinion. The increase the regeneration domain cooldown from 25 to 30 seconds. Not the hugest thing, but as something that should play effect, because that regeneration domain was like an invulnerability state for a lot of characters unless you were able to deal those really huge burst damages. Mantis is getting a reduction of her base health from 275 to 250. Why she had a 275 base health in the beginning to me made no sense. Thinking of the character, this is not a character with a huge amount of defenses. She's a relatively weak type character in terms of taking hits from characters, or at least her feats inside the comics. So her having 275 and being within 25 base health points of a lot of other like DPS characters similar to like Black Panther and Iron Fist just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I get some things. Next, the thing that they're doing too is her Healing Flower and Ally Inspiration. Those are going to be stacked. So up to a max of 16 seconds. The thing that I really want to see them do with the strategist characters is center them around strategists. I'm getting so tired of seeing people pick Lokis, Mantises, Adam Warlocks, even Cloak and Daggers to some extent, and not staying on the job of what it should be that they're doing, which is helping out the team and being support, and instead of trying to be DPS characters. Yeah, I just really rather see that. Rocket Raccoon is receiving perhaps the biggest nerf, I think, or adjustment to any of the strategists in the game, because they're decreasing his healing of the repair mode spears by 70 health to 50, but they're adding a one-time healing effect of 55 health to allies who are hit. And then they're going to increase the projectile speed. Then they're going to also, thank God for this one, because it's going to limit his mobility, but I think it's fair. Like they're going to the cooldown for jetpack is going to be increased to 10 seconds, and they're reducing the distance as well from 10 to 8 meters. His ultimate ability, guys, this is going to change the way it's played, because the damage boost that was provided by his ultimate ability is going from 40 to 25%. So even if you are still trying to play ammo overload with Punisher, the damage boost that is given by that is going to go way down. But they're going to add a new effect during the ability duration, so that the allies who are linked are going to receive 100% bonus health per second. That's going to cap at 150. When the link breaks, that bonus starts to fall off after 1 second at a rate of 75%, 75 per second. So that's a good thing in my opinion, just because a lot of people were just picking Rocket Raccoon for the ammo overload, and then you're basically picking Bucky and Punisher, so that way they can essentially just damage out. And now you're going to basically resort to having to have him as a strategist healer type character. Adam Warlock's going to take a lot more skill to use, but I think the bonus of him being able to proper Adam Warlock being able to revive a whole team, especially now at 30% health, you're going to pay attention to when this guy is on the field regardless. Max with his DPS abilities, yeah, you're going to pay attention to him when he's on the field. So those are the hero adjustments overall throughout the game. I think there's some really good ones. The last thing that I want to bring you guys' attention to is the store and the new uniforms for Thor and Ronin. I'm going to go into these a little bit separately in some other videos, but I was really excited about these releases and what they meant for the game in terms of seeing Thor, the Lord of Asgard bundle, especially with his MVPs and stuff like that. It just looks so amazing. 1998, number 60, Runic Thor. It's just absolutely amazing. And then we get the Hawkeye Ronin bundle that's basically in here from Avengers in 2004. This is an absolute killer look for Ronin, and the nameplate is a obviously moving one, so it's the 2200 credits instead of the 1600 credits. Both of those look really good. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you excited for season 2 of Marvel Rivals? I am. I'm more excited by the announcement that we're going to be getting a character every month starting with season 3, because I think that's just going to add a lot of people keeping eyes on the game and not getting bored, especially with their ideas of bringing new content and new modes to the game to be tried out over the course of seasons. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for stopping by. Until next time, peace.